Michigan will win the game. Aguero credit. They go for it. Fire to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Gridiron Uncensored podcast, YouTube show, whatever you want to call it. We do it. Tonight, we're getting into finally doing our Power 4 season previews, and we're going to break it down in a maybe different way than others might. Instead of going through the whole conference, we're going to dedicate time to each team. So tonight we got 3 teams. We're going in alphabetical order. We've got Boston College, California, and Clemson on the docket. And we're excited to talk about these teams and really start getting the gears moving on this 2024 season and maybe give you guys an understanding of who these teams are. Instead of just saying, oh, they're trash, we don't know anything about them. Maybe use this as a, foundation of, hey, if I need to figure out who a team is, let's go check it out. Let's go listen to this podcast and see what these guys think about, every single team out there. So Trevor, we're excited. We're doing the ACC first. But before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about uniforms. I'm a uniform guy. We've got one of my friends out there, Cody Ross, great dude. He asked, hey, just curious, whose uniforms do you love? Who do you hate? Like, who's some uniforms you can't stand? So let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the worst ones first, and then we can talk about some of our favorites.
Send it, bro.
Well, off the top of my head, and the first team that I wrote down was the god-awful Eastern Michigan jerseys. They're terrible. They are almost as plain Jane as probably the one I know that you're gonna say. They're almost as plain Jane, but at least they have some lettering to them and like whatever. But it's just, I hate them. Like, I can't stand them. It's like probably one of the worst jerseys in college football, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Eastern. Like you said, I like Eastern Michigan. I'm not a fan of their uniform. It's just I don't like the gray field.
It has nothing to do with my feelings about any university. It's just the fact that they, need a new designer of uniform. Like,
this is not hate. It's just we're just saying it. And before I catch it, from this next one, I can't stand Notre Dame's uniform, man. It is so bland to me. It's just so bland.
Although
it's gold crusted.
Yep, you're right. I truly understand that. But I'll tell you what, I do like some of their alternates. Like when they have the shamrock on the helmet. I think that looks legit. But their standard blue and gold or whatever they call it, is you're right. It's just too plain Jane. But their alternates are actually pretty nice, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I like their green uniforms, all that. But I'm a fan of like helmet logos. I don't care for Penn State's helmet. I think it's boring. People say, "Oh, it's iconic." It's a white helmet with a blue stripe. Of course, it's like, but I don't know. It's just boring to me. Another team I don't care for, it's Bowling Greens. They think they've done a little bit better, but it says that color scheme.
The Cleveland Browns of the college football world.
Yeah, man, that's just Lord, I can't roll with it, man.
No.
Baylor's another one. I feel like it's kind of the color scheme just a little.
They could do so much more at Baylor. My God, they could do so much more.
Their green ones aren't bad. That mustard yellow that they throw out though, when they go like yellow everything, I'm just like, oh Lord, man.
Yeah, but that being and in the same token, people, I'm gonna catch flack for this, I'm sure, because I know there's some lovers of this uniform. But the old school Oregon Ducks uniform, I don't like it. The OU on the helmet with the puke yellow, I just hate it. I absolutely hate it, and I hate the green that they use on that uniform. I don't throw up. I like most of their uniforms, but that particular one just bothers me in almost the same fashion that Baylor's bothers me.
So I kind of like the Oregon one. like the old school. Some of the Oregon's newer uniforms, I feel like they're too they've got too much plastic crap looking going on.
Yeah.
I know they're flashy and cool, but sometimes simple is better.
That's true. That's true.
But I
I'm
don't
also
know.
not a big fan of South Carolina's. I think they could do a
Yeah.
lot. I think they could do a lot more with that jersey as well, and
So
helmet even.
I don't know. I like their uniform. I really like their helmet though. Like their especially their black ones. I think look solid. But I agree. I think they could probably do a little bit more. But
Okay, so when I've said, like, I know I used Oregon's alternate against them, but
Mhm.
that's just because they're in the Big Ten, and that's just kind of what I'm gonna do. But
That's weird to say, isn't it?
I know it is weird to say. It still is weird to say. But no, with South Carolina, it's more or less their standard, their everyday jerseys, like in a helmet. I don't know, like the normal home
Yeah.
jersey. I have a problem with. Like their alternates usually are pretty decent. Their alternate stuff that they use are they're not non everyday stuff, or every game stuff, but.
Yeah.
uh, that's just one of the bigger programs that I'm not a big fan of.
I'll say one other for me. I don't mind Syracuse, but it's just kind of on that.
Ugh,
It's
yeah.
just kind of bland to me too. That just the S on the helmet. I don't know. Put an orange on there, baby. That's what I want to see. But let's get into teams that we really like their uniforms, and
Pretty much
I mean
everybody
obviously
else.
yeah,
Pretty much everybody
everybody
else.
else. When I look at uniforms, I pull up I'm like, these all look good, man. Like they're all good looking uniforms, man. I like NC State's. Going through the ACC since we're talking about them. I
Mhm.
like Virginia Tech's a lot. Florida State, uh, Clemson's fine. Miami's iconic uniform. Um, Virginia's all right. Clemson's not bad. A little. I like their purple jersey a little bit personally. What about you, Trevor? What's some teams you like out there?
Honestly, ever since NC State kind of changed their helmet around from the UNC or
Mhm.
the NC State, whatever that's on the side of the helmet, to the
Yeah, that
wolf.
wolf.
Oh my God. I've loved it ever since they
I
changed it.
dig
I
it.
was just like, I dig it. In my
Yeah,
opinion, it's probably one of the best unis in the ACC.
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of Florida State. Florida State's uh, it's a classic uniform. It's very well known.
yeah.
It is what it is, but it doesn't, it's not, you know, it's not making me jump for joy or anything. But that NC State change,
Dig
that
it.
was epic. That was a great call by whoever makes that decision.
I'll say for the ACC too, I like Georgia Tech's new uniforms. I think they've done a really good
Yep.
job on keeping them clean
Hmm.
and crisp, and just they're good looking uniforms.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
I thought Big 12, since we're just going to go down the line here, kind of West Virginia just came out with some new ones. I thought they've done a really good job. Uh, I love Oklahoma State's uniforms. I think they're good. UCF has some solid ones. Arizona's good. Big 12 has got a lot of good uniforms, in my opinion. I
Yeah, yeah,
I can't really
yeah.
complain about any
Nope.
of them.
No.
Utah's
Oh,
cool.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to circle back, but
No, send it. Send it.
in the ACC, the newcomer of the group, SMU, they
Oh
have killer
yeah.
uniforms. They have killer
Yes.
uniforms.
How could we forget? I love the pony. Love the pony. But I mean, like I said, there's a lot of great uniforms out there, guys.
Yep.
SEC, I love Missouri's new uniforms. I think they look awesome.
Yep.
I like Kentucky's uniforms. Vandy, I think, is really nice helmets. They're good. Tennessee's an iconic. I know people hate that yellow, man, that throw up yellow, but that's or orange. Excuse me. Did I say yellow?
Yeah, you said yellow.
I,
I was like, wait a
I,
minute.
I was thinking about Baylor. I was thinking about Baylor. What can I say? I'm sorry. Oh
There
my
was a lot
god,
of
but
yellow
no,
going
I meant the
around.
orange. I meant the orange. Look, I'm not even colorblind. It's just been a hell of a day. Georgia, Bama, all the Florida, good uniforms. And then for me, the Big Ten, most of them are really good. I obviously we're Michigan fans. We got a Bama fan, and Blake, and so of course we're gonna like those uniforms. But let us know yours. Trevor, you got anything else on uniforms before we jump into the conversation of the evening?
I'm trying to think of like something that like a uni that I like, but I can't. Arizona out west, I like Arizona's. They're pretty
I
clean.
do too.
Um,
They're good looking.
Let me see. I'm not a big fan of USC's uniform. It is what it is. I mean, it's not a bad uniform. It's just not anything special. I
Yeah.
have always been a fan of the Purple People Eaters out there in Washington.
Yeah. I like
I've
Washington.
always liked their jerseys, and I always liked what they've done with especially with the alternate blacks and the all whites. I think they do an all white version as well.
Yeah, they do.
So
I'll say
Mhm.
another all white one that I think is really good is LSU and UCLA have really clean all white
Oh
unions.
yeah,
Really
for
clean.
sure.
Uh,
Especially, I like LSU's because of the purple and
yeah,
and the gold or the yellow accents with the
yeah,
white. It pops. It
it
pops for
fits
sure.
real nice. Another team that I just thought about, App State. They've got
Mm-hmm.
really clean, good uniforms right now. I really like them. They're classic. The block A, it fits well. But yeah, so that's our thoughts. Let us know your favorite uniforms in the comments. On any of the social media platform. We're interested to hear what you got to say and why we're
Definitely don't forget to shoot us any sort of question. It doesn't matter if it's a jersey or if it's about what your specific team that you're rooting for, what you think want us to touch base on them, on whatever the case.
yeah.
Throw those questions in. We'll be happy to touch on them as we go through these season previews as a Kickstarter to the episodes.
Absolutely. Anytime you guys want something, we do mailbags. Throw it at us, just like this one. We'll put it at the front of the episode, maybe at the back. Who knows? But yeah, so let's get out of uniforms, Trevor, and let's get into these previews and really start getting these people ready for 2024 because it's coming soon. All right, we got NCAA coming soon. The college football 25. We got all that. We're full gear towards 2024.
Absolutely, we are.
So let's go ahead and talk about the first newcomer in the ACC, which is still strange. Again, this is a new world. It's a new era of boys and girls. We got California in the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. Now, obviously they don't touch the Atlantic, but in a roundabout way they do, because all water connects. Yes, I said it. Don't judge me. I'm being an idiot. It happens sometimes.
Oh Lord.
California, Justin Wilcox. Okay, this guy's been around for a minute. Pretty middling when it comes to, he's had a couple of 7-win seasons, 5 wins, and not great, right? But not horrible enough, I guess, for them to fire him. They see something there. And I'll say he's had a really good offseason when it comes to the portal. But currently they're at an over-under of 6.5, Trevor. So there's some optimism in that team and the fan base too on Twitter and social media. What I see, I've seen people that I'm believing. I think they could win 10 games is what they say. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I guess I haven't really thought about them winning 10. And I looked at the schedule and it's kind of rough.
It's a bit rough for sure. I will say, I mean, I maybe can see 9 wins. I don't know if I'd go 10 though. I don't think they'd be double digit I don't think they'd be double digits.
Yeah,
I don't. For one, the biggest thing that they have going for them is that they have a total of 17 starters coming back from last season.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good experience is the greatest teacher. But their hardest stretch in this season is basically a full-on run of hell. Between Miami, it goes FSU, Miami, at Pitt, and then NC State. And if they even squeak out 1 win out of that 4-game stretch, I think that their season's looking bright. Because outside of Auburn, I don't see maybe SMU at the end of the season giving them an issue.
Yeah.
But they finish out their season. The last 3 games of their season is at home. They're at home.
That's true.
So, I mean, if they get through the rough stretches towards the beginning, they finish out. The whole month of November, it's at Wake Forest, Syracuse at home, Stanford at home, SMU at home. That could potentially be a 4-game winning streak, assuming they're playing well.
Yeah, I do think SMU's at SMU when I'm looking.
Did I write that down wrong?
I've got it pulled up on FBS schedule and it's showing it is at Gerald Ford Stadium in Dallas. But the point still, you get 2 games in November that are kind of easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you look at Syracuse and Stanford, Syracuse is a different team now. Okay, it's but still with what they return, like you said, Trevor, I think it's doable and the
Mm-hmm.
backside. But like you said, that stretch from Florida State to NC State is tough, and you got Pitt with Narduzzi on the hot seat, like we said. I mean, who knows? Are they going to,
He's gonna Narduzzi's gonna end up having a 10-win season and just like shut everyone up.
want it happen that way?
It probably would. It
Now
probably would.
you look at Cal last year; they went 6-7. They did lose to Texas Tech in their bowl game, but that first matchup, the big one against Auburn, they lost 14-10, and it was a tight game.
Mm-hmm.
They play Auburn again this year, week 2, after playing UC Davis, and this one is in Jordan Hare. That's going to be a tough game. Auburn's been making a lot of changes, but they still have Peyton Thorne at quarterback, and I know they feel like he's developing, which is great. But at sometimes it's the quarterback's still just who they are. They are who we thought they were. We said that about Joe Milton last year too, and he is who I guess he got drafted. That's great. I'm happy for him.
Right.
Truly. But again, you are who we know you are. And I feel that same way about Auburn. If they can go past Auburn and even, say you lose to Florida State and NC State, the rest of their schedule's not bad. Like, I think it's possible for them. And I could kind of see why they say we might win 10 games. Because when you look at it, yes, Mendoza returns at quarterback, but he didn't have a bad season. It wasn't great. They had 10 interceptions. That's 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. It's not bad for Cal and all that, but it's not great. They went out and got Chandler Rogers from North Texas, who had a really good season last year, 24 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. If he is the starter, or if even Mendoza, iron sharpens iron, if he finds his footing now because he's got some really strong competition, they brought in a lot of wide receiver help. Mikey Matthews from Utah.
That's huge. I was just about to say that. Mikey Matthews coming in as a freshman, or I guess he'll be a sophomore this year, but still, like
he looks to be their slot receiver, and
it looks to be that way. Yeah. They
and
also
then
they picked up what was they picked Keon Graves from Ohio State.
Yep. Highly recruited wide receiver.
Yep. 6 foot 170. Like he looks like he could be a burner too.
I mean, they've got pieces on offense that can cause some damage. And teams, I don't take Cal lightly. When you first think, if you don't do any research on these teams and you just look, oh, they're mid. Oh, you see them like they haven't really been relevant. Oh, they suck. That's why we're here. We're digging into these teams and we're learning about them too, and we're seeing what they have. And I'm telling you, this team could cause some trouble, especially if the quarterback play is there. If it's turnover season like it was last year, okay, they're gonna drop games. But if they're straight up, they're good. They're gonna be dangerous. And let's not forget who else they have. Jaden Ott at running back. He was a hoss last year, and he returns. That's gonna only help the quarterback situation, having a proven running back. I mean, that's it right there, man. They got some help in the transfer portal on the offensive line too. So Trevor, what else you got, man?
Well, I mean, they have the 2 receivers that they just got in the transfer portal. But folks, they're also returning 3 out of the 4 starting wide receivers from last season as well. Not to mention these 2 top these two wide receivers will definitely I would say Mikey Matthews has a pretty big shot of being able to start or at least have significant playing time. Like you said, Jaden Ott, Pac-12 leading rusher for the season. He totaled out at 980, just shy of 1,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you can do 1,000 yards rushing, you're a damn good running back.
Yeah.
And with Cal, their offensive line was not great last year, so he was kind of making stuff out of nothing. So there's a lot of potential with Cal. And I think this team particularly has a potential to surprise some people, maybe even surprise on second game of the season and not really throw a monkey wrench into Auburn's plans.
Wouldn't that be something, knocking
Oh
them
my
out early
gosh.
in the year? So yeah, I like Cal. I can see why there's optimism
Mhm.
amongst the fan base. I hope it connects. Obviously, it's in this era in coaching too. Teams, 3-4 years, that coach is gone.
Yeah.
If they're not getting that upgrade, in the wins column, they're probably gone. But he's been around. This is going on what, 7th, 8th season. So this is, to me, this is a make or break year for him. I know that middle area is rough, but hey, they've made some moves in the portal, and you have to do that nowadays. If you want to stay the coach, you're going to have to make some moves.
So the real question is, what does Justin Wilcox have to do to get his team? How many wins does he have to have this season to keep his job? I would have to say it has to be 8 or more for him to keep his job with everything that they have coming in and returning.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. For the most, because like you said, his best right now is 7. So if you can at least beat the over under of 6.5, so that means you have to win 7 games to beat that, and then win a bowl game, because they lost the bowl game last year. Go win a bowl game, go get 8 wins, and you're safe, and you're going to put Cal on a better trajectory and show transfers and recruits in the future. Hey, we mean some business in the ACC. So let's see what they do. And really that first week, or the second week, excuse me, is going to be really telling about maybe who both of these teams are. I know it's early in the year, but week 2, you get a little bit of the kinks out in week 1. It's going to be a showdown out there, down in the barn, baby, down there in Auburn. I'm excited to see that one week 2.
And just one quick note to add is that the offense is not going to look the same that it did last year, folks, because they did bring in Mike Blosh, who is now the new offensive coordinator and O-line coach. So there is a potential that the offense would look a little different, which could also lend to what you were saying before, is that the fan base has a lot of optimism going into the season. So I'm curious to see how it all plays out. I forgot to mention the other transfers that I had on my list is that they also brought in Ryan Yates, LSU transfer, freshman safety, and TJ. I can't even read my own handwriting.
Bowlers.
He's a linebacker from Wisconsin.
Bowlers.
Yeah, Bowlers. That's it. Yep. So those are between the 2 wide receivers and then the safety and the linebacker were my 4 notables. That they're bringing in.
I'll say even they also brought in Tobias Merriweather from Notre Dame. He's rated as a 4-star transfer prospect. Mm-hmm. I remember earlier, in the offseason, the first transfer portal, Notre Dame was losing people like crazy. You're like, what the hell is going on? Well, here's one of their guys. Yep. And they did. They went out to Mizzou. They went to LSU. They got help from the SEC, from Oklahoma. So they went out and got Power 5, players. These aren't, hoping that they succeeded really well at the group of 5. Let's hope they do well in the next level, if you want to say it like that. But there's gems everywhere, guys. You can find them. And sometimes the system change will help a prospect so much. So we're excited to see what Cal brings to the table this year. Trevor, anything else on Cal before we move on?
No, I'm actually excited to see what Cal kind of turns into this year with these transfers. And just a quick note on the transfer portal. One last thing is the only real notable loss that I have is Marquise Dortch leaving as far as a transfer out. Obviously they have graduates and everything like that, but Marquise Dortch leaving. He hasn't committed yet as of yesterday when I was doing my research, but I think they have some ideas on where he's heading.
Yeah, and to me, it says he entered on 429. That to me, that means he's like, okay, he got beat out by these guys that they brought in. That's probably what that means.
Or he saw that they brought him in and like, I can't beat them out.
Or he was just like, hey, you guys bring in a lot. I'm gonna go find a new way. Anything's possible. But again, this is the new world of football, guys. So get ready for it. I kind of like it, man. It's crazy. It's teams can change in the blink of an eye. So
Speaking of changing in a blink of an eye,
oh yeah,
that would roll right in to the changes that BC is going through right about now.
well, tell us about them there, Trey.
Man, well, let's just start with the big old elephant in the room, them stealing Bill O'Brien as the OC from the OC that he didn't even really start doing at Ohio State, and he just decided to take the Boston College head coaching job. And let's see, let's list out. I'm gonna just go through the new coaches on the staff. Bill O'Brien's the new head coach. Will Lowig is the new OC. He was last year. He was New England Patriots tight end coach. Tim Lewis is the new defensive coordinator. He has been around quite a while. Most recently, he was in the USFL as a defensive coordinator or co-defensive coordinator for one of the teams there. They brought in a linebacker coach, Dan O'Brien. No relation. I did look it up. He's going to be the linebackers coach. He was the defensive coordinator at Southern Miss last year. And then they brought in, let's see, we have also Ray Brown, who's going to be the DB and secondary coach for them, who was the DB coach at Washington State last year. And that rounds out the new staff that came in. There were a few retentions from last year's Boston College team and staff, but not many.
Yeah, the whole saga with Boston College feels like ages ago. To me, like you said, he was hired at Ohio State, and then Jeff Hafley jumped ship because I guess he said he was just done with NIL. He's like, I'm done with it. I can't do it. It's not coaching football anymore. Well, sorry, buddy, it is. You know, if you're in this league, you're going to have to get used to that shit or figure out how to delegate like leaders are supposed to do. But hey, I'm not hating on him. He went to a new area. I'm just saying. All right. So now you bring in Bill O'Brien. He's got a plethora of experience, you know, and if you guys want to find, very true. If you guys want a good write-up on that, our friends over at Updog Sports also, they did a head coach series on all the new hires. You should check them out. Really good dudes over there. But it's just interesting. It's an interesting fit. And honestly, I think it's going to do fine. And because he's immediately gone in, he's worked on the portal. You said he's brought in a new staff, you know, surrounded himself with people he likes and trusts. And he thinks that he can get this thing moving. And they were 7-6 last year. It's not bad. You know, that it's not a bad season. This is something that you can build on, but they only have an over-under of 5 this year.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, when I looked at their schedule, I wrote down knife's edge. Like, this is something that they could go one way or the other. It really just depends on this quarterback play.
Yeah, and you took the words right out of my mouth because I was going to say, it's like, if the quarterback don't play well, this doesn't matter how many good transfers you bring in, how many talented. It's all about how well your quarterback can definitely execute.
And yeah, I mean, you look at it, and they return 67% of their total production on the team, 80% on offense, 53% defense.
Yep.
They did go out and get the portal. They went and they got help on both sides. But again, it's Castellanos. You know, how is he going to control the ball? Because last year he had some problems. Now, I mean, he can run like Dwayne. He's had really good stats in that department. But Trevor, what do you think about him?
So with Bill O'Brien, what comes to mind is, like you said, the quarterbacks can run. He can run well. So, like, when I look at what he's bringing in, right, for the transfer portal and what he's used to doing, at least with like the read option and all that other kind of stuff like that, I think that Boston College is going to go to more of a spread type offense and try and open up the run game through the spread. Not throwing the ball necessarily, but just spreading everyone out. And I think that's what he's going to do. And I put a star next to both of these guys' names because I was like, I was like, these two kids are going to come in and make an impact right away. And it's Jordan McDonald, who's the running back from UCF, and Trayshawn Ward, the running back out of Kansas State. I think both of those guys are going to come in and make an instant impact. If nothing else, bring competition and effort to the running back position. The offensive weapons that Bill O'Brien has brought in the transfer portal. I mean, those two running backs, he brought in Kamari Morales, tight end out of UNC, Jaden McGowan, wide receiver from Villanova, Bradley from Texas Tech.
Yeah, and he's a big threat too. He's tall.
He's so good. Yeah, I was watching some of his highlights, man. The guy is a mismatch nightmare. Or is a matchup nightmare. I mean, not a miss. He is a miss. He's a walking mismatch. Absolutely. But I find it funny. He's the wide receiver and he's taller than the tight end that they brought in from UNC.
But 6'5", man. It's a big dude.
He's a big dude. And then I have Cameron, I think it's Martinez, safety from OSU.
Yeah.
Which is, a big get for them. Anyone coming from Ohio State at this point is probably I think he was, when he was a prospect, a 4-star. He's a transfer at a 3-star, but I think he was mostly backup. I don't believe he had much playing time, if any. But just being in that system under that defense that Ohio State had says a lot. Let me see. 2 transfers out that I have note of is Joseph Griffin, wide receiver. He's 6'3". He's out. And then I'm going to brutalize his first name, but Salah, an edge rusher, he is transferred out to Purdue.
Yeah, I saw that. So Purdue got they went out and poached somebody from Boston College. I'll say a cornerback that they brought in from Georgia State, Braquise Brown. He's had some really good games, really, really good season last year.
Yep.
So Boston College needed help on the back end, and they went out and got it. Even if Cam Martinez and Ryan Turner from Ohio State don't become starters, they probably will be in that, from the spring game. Sounds like they had a really good spring game. They showed out. They were aggressive. So that's stuff that Bill O'Brien likes.
I'll tell you what.
The depth and everything else. No, you're good. It just helps the depth.
Absolutely. Anything. I was watching the press conference that I think Bill O'Brien had a week after their spring game, and he said that we've had good practices. The spring game was good. Our defense is pretty solid, but our offense is he basically is saying that the offense is the biggest question mark in this whole deal. So I'm guaranteeing you that he is going to be less likely to concentrate on the defensive side and let his defensive coaches concentrate on the defense. And he's going to put most of his focus into the offense.
And again, when you look at who they returned, Castellanos had 1,289 rushing yards last year. I mean, that's just insane at quarterback. And then passing, he had 14 interceptions though. That's 15 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. You're gonna screw yourself so many times. Now, I know the Florida State game last year was super close. There was a rainstorm, everything. But they were in some of these games, man. But they are also in some really close games with teams that they should not have been close with. So that's why I wrote knife's edge, because you look, Holy Cross last year, they won 31-28. NIU, they lost 27-24. Florida State, they lost 31-29. They got beat the hell down by Louisville, but then you barely beat Virginia. You barely beat Army. UConn, you beat by a touchdown. Syracuse, you beat by a touchdown. So you look at all these, you're like, okay, everything's close. So that's why I write knife's edge. What can they do? And we've talked about what they brought in from the portal, and obviously Bill O'Brien, a new system. What can they build off? What can they implement to make them competitive? When you look at this 2024 schedule, I mean, the first couple of weeks are tough. You got Florida State. I don't even remember how to say the second team. They're the Dukes.
Duquesne. It's just Duquesne.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Thank you. I was like, I'm going to butcher
I
it.
was like, holy shit! I didn't even know they had a football team.
Duquesne. Don't quote me on it, baby. But that's, I mean, hell, listen, I got in trouble for saying Appalachian State before. It's Appalachian is what they say. But Duquesne, the Dukes. Either way, that's week 2. But then you go play Missouri. So you got Florida State, Missouri in your first 3 weeks, and then you go play a revamped Michigan State team, a solid Western Kentucky team. This is a team in Western Kentucky that is going to be a good one in the group of 5. Watch out for them. Virginia's should be a win. I feel like they should be able to toss that one up. But I mean, you're already looking. I mean, that's a tough schedule. Virginia Tech's a revamp. You know, they've got a lot going for Virginia Tech.
Well, the way I'm focusing on this is that, okay, yeah, maybe you're gonna have a rough beginning. Michigan State, it's 50-50 on how they're gonna perform because they did have some people leave. We already know their quarterback play is going to be improved from the last year. Just because the quarterback they have now is much better. But after that, Western Kentucky's a question mark, like you said. But I think once they get after the 2 away games, UVA and Virginia Tech, that finish is rough for Boston College, only because it's Boston College. Louisville, Syracuse, at SMU, UNC, and Pitt.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
That's why I said this is it. I know the over-under's at 5, and I look at it and I see why.
I get it. Yeah, I 100% get why.
If you can go in and fix your turnover issue, give him better reads, not put him in such situations, lean on a running game, and use his legs too. You got to use his legs. He's obviously a talented runner. Then I think this could go on the upside, like on the over, maybe 6, 7. But it's a dangerous schedule, and it could easily fall off a cliff fast if you let it.
The good news for Bill O'Brien is he is not on a short leash. If this team does bad, I'm fairly certain they're going to let it ride because he's a Boston guy in general.
Oh yeah.
So that's why he took the job.
He's got the fit,
Yeah.
He's got the fit. So we'll see what happens again with Boston College, but looking at it, knife's edge. It could go either way.
It could go
either way.
100%.
But it depends on quarterback play. And you say this about any team. Quarterback play, it's crucial. It is vital. You have to have good quarterback play. And people shit on game managers and everything. If they can move the ball and get you first downs, be happy you have them. I be happy with it.
I hate the people that use game manager as like some derogatory term.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry. So game manager equals first downs and potentially wins.
Yeah. You mean
I
that
don't see
all
the
day.
problem. I don't see the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. But Boston College, watch out. You're in a danger zone, boys and girls. But again, I do see hope, though. I do think Bill O'Brien is a good fit for Boston College. Let's talk Clemson, because obviously there's a lot of debate about Dabo Swinney. We've talked about him last episode. A lot of the talking heads don't understand what he's doing with the portal, and I'd say most fans probably agree too. But man, they've got nobody. They went out and got nobody. So let's talk again about Clemson. I immediately feel that they're contenders because they've recruited so well. They've got good players on their team. They've got returning, production. But it's just, one of those things. You got to plug gaps. What do you think, Trevor?
They have returning production on the offense. However, their defense was gutted. Like, absolutely gutted. They have only 3 starters coming back on defense. And I'm just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. They have a really strong recruiting class, like you mentioned. The headliners for me is Sammy Brown, linebacker, 6'2", 230 coming in, and TJ Moore, wide receiver, 6'3", 190. Both 5 stars. And I would imagine that they both might have the opportunity to compete to play. But like I said, is like, I don't understand the mentality. And I've said this before. I don't understand the mentality of not going after people in the transfer portal. I don't understand it. You are Clemson. You would command some really top flight players to come fill holes, give you 1 year, 2 year buffer to try and recruit at that position and bring in
Yeah.
strong players to replace. I'm not saying he has to go all in on transfer portal like Deion Sanders or somebody, but
Absolutely.
I am saying, like, utilize it for what it is and give opportunities to players that have experience, or at minimum bring in a depth to help your younger players that you did recruit to bring in. So, I mean, I understand the mentality from a principal point of view, but from a logical point of view, it doesn't make much sense to me to not utilize the transfer portal to at least bolster the roster to a point where it's going to help you get wins, help you keep the prestige that you've worked so hard to gain up to this point.
Yeah.
Because now, I'm just Joe Schmo, right? No, but I'm just some guy on a podcast saying that I think that Sweeney's time is up, because he's refusing to change with the times. I still hold true to that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Brennan. I
I'm
mean,
with
their
you.
schedule lines up okay. Looking at their schedule, I mean, even if they have a few tough games. I have like 3 games that are starred. Obviously, the first game being in August 31st, against Georgia.
Yeah.
That's
Huge.
it's gonna be a huge game, huge one way or the other. I mean, I think they're gonna get obliterated, but I mean, we'll see.
It's again about the portal. Not to keep hammering on it, but it's just a part of football. These players have options, and if they, it's not like the years in the past where you would just commit to Clemson. Once Dabo got them rolling, or you commit to Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, and just sit for years and wait. You're going to start losing depth guys. We've seen it at every single team. Georgia's had a lot of losses. Clemson's had losses. Alabama's had. I know there's been
Ohio
coaching
State,
changes. Ohio State,
everybody's
Michigan's lost.
losing. Yep.
Everybody's losing these depth guys in the spring portal because they're like, hey, I don't want to sit here. I don't want to sit anymore. I want to go. I want to go find a spot.
I want to get that experience, get playing time if I can.
And I get it to a point, but I think Dabo and what we've seen with other coaches that get really just like, nope, this is my way. This is how I'm doing it. Look what happened to Jimbo Fisher. I think Jim Harbaugh was starting to get into that, and I think he was fully in that. I'm going to run this offense. This is my team. But then he realized, okay, I need to back off, and he did. He went out and got Sharon Moore, and then look what happened. Little changes like that. Change your philosophy. You don't have to go all in, but you can.
You really don't. You don't have to change who you are. Like, they didn't get any transfers in, and they lost that many people on defense. I just don't like. There's got to be a way to bridge the gap, and I mean, I would imagine the learning curve for a Clemson defense is pretty steep, considering they usually are pretty darn good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I mean, they're obviously still loaded with talent. Let's not sugarcoat it, okay? We're just saying it's a situation. It's just one of those situations. Okay, it sucks you're losing people. You didn't bring anybody to help out, but you do recruit well. You're loaded with talent. And now, like you said, let's look at the schedule. You got Georgia first week, and that's going to be a telling sign, okay? Again, Georgia's lost a lot of people, too, in the portal. But we're going to get to them later. But they're, again, still loaded with talent, and they still have a returning veteran quarterback now. But so does Clemson and Klubnik. Klubnik shows signs of being really, really good at times, but then he makes boneheaded decisions. So if he needs to square that away. And really, last year, Clemson was not far from being better in the win column. They had a lot of turnovers in the red zone. So if they can go out and control that and play a little bit smarter, they're going to have a good chance at contending for the ACC. But you look at the schedule, Trevor, it's tough to start. Not only do you have Georgia, you have to play App State. And App State's a good team. You cannot take them lightly. Look at look at North Carolina every year they play them.
Yep.
I swear again, it's always down to the wire.
It's every time they play a Power 5 or 4 now.
I swear to God, man. App State, watch out for them. That could be a massive upset week 2.
Look, at this point, Clemson's schedule is a little interesting to me because so far, like even like Cal at Boston College, they just have stretches. They have stretches of tough games week after week after week. Where while Clemson, the first game of the season against Georgia is going to be a tough game, no matter what you say, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah.
And I really think they're going to lose. But
Club me in the
App
face.
State, club me in my face is going to club. He's no. I'm not a fan. App State, you're right, absolutely right. Super dangerous team, but then you get a bye and then you walk right into another dangerous team.
Yeah,
probably one of the favorites to win the SEC or ACC.
I'd agree with that.
So I mean, if NC State beats Clemson, I'm penciling them in right there.
That hype train is going to be huge for the Wolfpack. But then after that, you go play Florida State 2 weeks after NC State. This is the tough beginning. And then you do play Wake Forest, you play Virginia, those should be wins. You play Louisville, which is they've suffered some losses in the portal too. They brought some guys in and lost them immediately. I don't know if the checks didn't clear or what. We'll talk about Louisville here, in a couple episodes. But then again, Virginia Tech. I'll say the ACC I feel like is better this year than they were last year. When I initially look at them,
they're a little bit littered with a lot of mid teams that can definitely pull off an upset. But I was really like when I first looked at the Clemson schedule, I was like, oh my God, they did the SEC thing. They did the SEC thing. Come on. I was so angry. I was like, man.
I know. Whatever. I still hate that. Play them earlier, but
play them early. That's what the non-com beginning of the schedule is for.
Hey, maybe the military academy will knock somebody off. That'd be pretty cool. And then you finish off with South Carolina. So I agree. It's a tough schedule, but they've got an over/under of 9.5. They're loaded with talent. They've got returning starters. Maffa's a hell of a running back. I think we even mentioned it last year. We thought he was better than Shipley at times. So I think they have every potential to be a league contender, and they've got to show out early, set the tone, set the standard, and don't wait for some guy on the phone to piss you off, Dabo, before you start, rolling this season.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this is like I think that while he had a good season last year, I think Maffa is going to be just the linchpin to this entire offense.
Yeah,
I mean, he almost had 1,000 yards rushing last year. I anticipate it to be more. They brought in two new coaches, a new O-line coach and a new DNs coach. So we'll see how the O-line performs this year. I think I'll be paying really close attention to seeing how much protection they offer Klubnik. Because if memory serves, that was a big problem last year, is that Klubnik was getting pressured quite often.
Especially early.
Yeah.
Especially early. And then, that's how they lost the Florida State game.
Yep.
But I like what they have. They've got really strong defensive players. And Peter Woods on the D line. Barrett Carter's a really strong linebacker for them. They always have good safety play, it feels like. So I'm excited to see what they have, but you got to show out early, Clemson. And I think Dabo knows. I think he knows what's going on. It's just maybe change that philosophy a little bit on the portal there, Dabo, and maybe things will be a little bit less, pressure in the offseason.
So Brendan, let me ask you a question real quick. So would you say that, like, after looking at this, because I know this is the case for me, after looking at some of the ACC teams and just kind of going through some of the stats and everything like that and looking at the teams, is like, I don't think the ACC championship's a foregone conclusion at this point. It's not like a 3-team race. I seriously think there might be 4 or 5 teams that could contend to get to the ACC championship game.
I absolutely agree. And last year it felt pretty cut and dry. Like it was Florida State, Clemson, NC State maybe, and Louisville maybe as the dark horses.
And UNC just fell off the freaking face of the planet.
UNC said they were pretenders, baby, and they did.
They
this year feels a lot more, okay, and you got some teams that can contend or really even knock somebody out of contention. And that's the biggest thing about depth of a conference is can you get knocked out by a team that you should not be? And that's what I think you're going to see from the ACC this year. But Trevor, anything else on Clemson before we close out?
No. That pretty much covers it, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Early.
They've got a lot of replacing to do on the defensive side of the ball, so I'm really curious to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, I think they're still going to be. I still think that'll be their strong suit. I know they lost players, couple good guys, but some depth guys too. It's 12 total that they lost in the portal across the board, offense and defense. So we'll see what happens with Clemson. But guys, again, this is our season previews. Hope you enjoy it. We're hitting 3 teams. We're going to do multiple episodes. Start today. So stay tuned. We've got the next 3 coming up. Again, we're going in alphabetical order. So we will hit your team. We're going to hit all the Power 4 teams and Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to be in here too, those sneaky little whatever. I don't like that they're not in a conference, but we throw them in the ACC because they're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. To hell with Notre Dame. Oh, did I say that? Either way, that's the fan in me coming out. I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to be neutral. But either way, guys, we appreciate you. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment on any of the social media pages that we have. Our link tree's got all of them. So yeah, we appreciate you guys. Trevor, anything before we close? You good?
No, we appreciate you listening, and we got more to come. And we're doing the next episode in about 2 days.
Yep. So it's going to be rapid fire. We're going to get all your teams out. Check our YouTube. Go subscribe there or listen on the podcast. Y'all have a great night.